Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here this Friday morning, and we're going to talk about our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. We call this Chamber of Commerce weather. All week long, it's just been great weather. If you can't get outdoors in this kind of weather, then I really feel for you, because maybe this weekend you can, but it's just been beautiful outdoors. Now, it's going to be a high today of 74 and low of 58. You just can't order any better weather than that. So the temperature in the water now is down to 64 degrees, but it's leveled off. I was working last night on a temperature chart to show you the last 6 weeks how it's gone down, and it's been fascinating. I didn't quite get it finished, so Monday morning I'll have that temperature chart graph for you and show you sort of what's going on. Now the river readings, take a look at the Apalachicola at Bluntstown. Talked about yesterday, we mentioned this about how flat and calm it should be on the big river. It's reading a 5 foot even this morning, going to be that way through the weekend. The Choctaw at Caryville, it had been dropping, remember, all week, but now it has went ahead and leveled off. So there's not going to be much up or down movement on the Choctaw. It's at a 3.9 right now, so it'll be about a 3.8 in the morning when you're going out there. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. Their motto is "When Caring Counts." Today, December the 5th, looking at a good strong tide. A low tide at 5:42 this morning. Pretty soon there's a low tide, and then high tide at 7:45 tonight. Got over 2 foot range. And the marine forecast now is coming at east-northeast at about 3. Wind just hasn't been a factor all week long, and again, the same way today. So it looks like it's going to be good. I just got off the phone with Kerry at the pier and found out what they're catching out there this week, and he said that the whiting are doing real good, and they're catching some flounder also. So if you get a chance, they're catching the bigger whiting in a little bit of deeper water, and the most of the whiting, though, they're in about 3 foot of water, 2 to 3 foot of water. So we'll talk more about that at our fishing report coming up later. All right, let's go and take our break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Let's get this segment started off with a couple of pictures. We don't have many, but the ones we have are good quality pictures sent to us by our viewing audience. Check this one out. I love this. Look at this big old sheephead and this smiling girl here. This is 9-year-old Madeline Smith. This is her first sheephead. Caught her out of Choctawhatchee over there, and she and her dad watch the show every morning before she goes off to school. And I can promise you, she'll always have great memories of being a child and watching this show and being around her dad, watching the show, getting ready to go to school. She'll tell her kids one day about this crazy redneck show she used to watch when she was a little girl. But congratulations, Madeline, on that nice sheephead right there. Okay. Now, Captain James Pick, I showed here in St. Andrew, I show some of his pictures every now and then. Good fishing captain. This is Billy Hornsby, Jess Watson, but just showing you the flounder are still out here. Good job, James Pick. All right, now Monday night, we have the Panama City Kayak Fishing Association. They'll be having their monthly meeting. It's at 6:30 at the El Jalisco restaurant. That's here on 23rd Street. It's at 766 23rd Street. And those guys get together and do a lot of talking about fishing and kayaking and having a good time. This next picture, this is not a true picture. Okay, it goes every year about this time of year. It makes its rounds on the internet and Facebook and everything, and I get tickled because they talk about, oh, this happened. I think this one said this is at a deer stand up in Chipley. I think last year was over there around Vernon, and then the year before was around Jacksonville, and then Georgia one year. This is a Photoshop picture of a panther and a deer, okay? This is not a real picture. So if you see it, somebody brings it, shows it to you at work, and don't ooh and ah over it, just say that is a Photoshop picture. And I just wanted to show it to y'all to help keep y'all straight on that. Okay, now also we got coming up December the 11th. We have at Lake Huntington Clubhouse, this is Bill Laminack, the Bay County Fly Fishers. They're going to be talking about the winter pattern of the speckled trout. And Bill Laminack will be running that. That's at the Lake Huntington Clubhouse. That's right west of St. Andrew Baptist Church, a little clubhouse down there. And they started meeting there, and that's going to be December 11th at 6:30. So You're welcome to all those, the Kayak Association meeting, the Fly Fishing Association, you're welcome. You're going to be around a bunch of guys and girls just like to talk fishing and getting outdoors. So I'd encourage you to attend some of these meetings, and no obligation or anything. You don't have to, I don't think they have dues or anything like that, but I think you'll really enjoy it. Now, I want to finish this little study. I say little study. I started on this yesterday, and I didn't get to finish. And I'll tell you how to finish today. It's 6 pages, but I'm not going to read it to you. But remember, I'll give you a recap. A group of our Florida Fish and Game biologists did a 3-year study on structure and all, and bass, attracting bass and brim and all. And what they did, they threw in, they used different things like cedar trees and hardwood trees, and then these plastic fish attractors. I know you've seen them. It's sort of built like that, and they're trying to find out which is better in holding the most fish. And it's an interesting study. I get fascinated reading some of this, and you know the idea of it. You get it's 2 things. It's food and shelter. That's what the fish, the shelter protecting them, and then that food where the algae is growing on there, and that's a good situation for them. So what they did, they put them in here, and they worked on the longevity. Again, it's a 3 years, so they as scientists, they did it right. The 3-year study, the plastic attractors were typically yielding more bass than the brush attractors. But now there's some other things to talk about. I'm going to read this to you. Results show anglers caught more fish around plastic attractors rather than brush, because that was in 68% of the reported catches. 68% of them were caught they were caught more around the plastic. They had 6 sample areas. In 4 of those sample areas, anglers caught more bass near plastic, and the 4 attractors were the highest catch rate of all the plastic. Now, there were 197 bass caught. 78% were caught on crankbaits, but 98 lures were lost. But only 10% of those lures were lost on plastic. This is interesting now, only 10% lost. So that makes a lot of sense, because these trees and all the limbs and everything, you're going to lose a lot more of your lures in a situation like that than those sort of square-looking, flat-looking plastic containers sort of built like cages. And then it went on to talk about the last 10 weeks of the study, even when the anglers got the plugs caught on the plastic containers, they were able to get them off. You know how you run the little thing down there and just pop it off? And a lot of times in tree limbs you can't do that, but with those plastics, so they actually had a 100% recovery rate. Then what they did, this was again interesting. They did they shocked the fish and let them all come up and did a study from the ones over here in all the brush piles, and then the ones in the artificial plastic. They found the same number of bass. Now that's interesting. But what happened? They were catching more around the plastic containers because they felt like, as scientists, they felt like the fish could see the lures better, and they're more vulnerable to over here than they were in the trees. So, and also the guys were catching more lures, kept more of their fishing plugs and all. So that was just interesting. That's about an 8-page study here. They talk about other things too. But we don't have time to get into all of that. But I'll keep you posted on all these studies. They're fascinating to me. All right, now don't forget, tonight, if you around the St. Andrew area or going to be out shopping or anything, come down here, and I'm doing a book signing at Sunjammer from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. I'd love to see you come by. Look here, I have a whole stack of these book covers, and even if okay, I'm going to take all these down there. All right, free. They don't cost anything. And all you got to do, if you want to replace it, all you do is just take this off, and I can help you replace it, or I just give you a book cover down there. So love to see you come down there, and we'll just talk fishing or whatever you want to do. And I should have some Panhandle Outdoor decals with me. All right. Now that's going to take care of this segment. Let's go ahead and get ready to take our break, and then we're going to come back and do our drawing. Okay. All right. Welcome back. Going from fishing to hunting, we're looking at dove season. The 3rd phase of dove season now is going to open up on December 12th through January 15th. Now, oddly enough, December 12th is on a Friday, so we're looking at next Friday. Usually we all get these Saturday morning openings, but December 12th through January the 15th. I had to double check that because I wasn't sure myself. And speaking of, yesterday we showed a video, or the day before, the video of those wild hogs down at Cape San Blas on that Eglin property around the curves there. And fascinating watching those wild hogs. And like I say, I could hit them with a baseball bat. They got so close to the side of the road there. Well, right here on Tyndall, check out what's walking around Tyndall. And they do this every Thanksgiving. They just order teasing and all. This is some Tyndall turkeys, I call them. And they're not scared of anything either. They just, they're not afraid. They're just used to the traffic. It's right side of the road there, right outside of Tyndall. Going going east as you leave Tyndall there. So it's fascinating. It seems like these animals know when they're on military or government property, and they feel protected and everything. So I get a kick out of some great photographic opportunities. We talk a lot about taking pictures in the outdoors, and you don't have to be a professional photographer to take some pictures, and it's so handy now with our phones like this. You just boom, boom, snapping it. I've finally gotten used to taking some phone pictures. I've gotten a couple of nice phone pictures, believe it or not. Now, hunting, every year, we really get serious about hunting. And I've talked about this before. It's very important when you look at hunting season. This is how I personally break up my hunting season. There are like different phases to it, and it's sort of it makes sense to me over the years I've hunted. Phase one, you're looking at the deer season. Pre-season, we've already passed it. Make sure you got food out for the deer. You got your camera set up, and you stand safe and everything like that. Now, the second part, the early season, which we've just gotten through, you really, when you're hunting there, you try to just pick out a buck. This is what the early season to me is like Thanksgiving, the early part of the season. And every year, and you saw the pictures, there's some really nice quality bucks taken, but there's not a lot of them. But you saw the pictures this week in Western Bay County, Eastern Bay County, up in Calhoun County. Over there, there's been some nice quality, but there's been like one buck, for each group and all. And it's true to form. It's worked just like that. So be aware that if you got a big buck, then you want to take them. Now, after that early season is over, the next phase is going to come up will be the holiday season, and this is again going from Thanksgiving really around the Christmas holidays. There are many hunters out in the woods. The deer are spooked, and they're in the swamps, they're in the thickets. But right around that time also, you're going into the pre-rut, and this is when you're looking for the rub lines and the patterns. And then my favorite part of in January, and I always go around about the middle of January where the areas I hunt. It's the rut. You got the rubs, your scrapes, you got the does moving around, and that's when you want to have a portable stand where you just sort of move around, and they're not necessarily going to come to your feeder stand. And then the last part, and a lot of us, I was talking to some guys from Alabama the other day on that lease that we're on up there, and we're talking about, and a lot of people omit that last phase. A lot of people are tired of being in the woods and all, but the last phase, what we call that post-rut, well, those big bucks have been in the rut, and they've been going night and day, and they're flat out hungry. So that's when they're going to start coming back to some food and all. So be aware of that. And that's just the stages. I haven't read that anywhere. That's just over my years and talking to different people who are excellent hunters and my experience itself. That's what we found out that to be. Okay? Now, real quick tip of the day. And a lot of times I'll give tip of the days on personal experiences. And what this is, my sunglasses, obviously, and they're good, expensive sunglasses. I've always had really good ones. And this is a little strap that holds them on. Well, yesterday, this happened at school. This, as you know, goes in here like that. And I was putting it on, and it broke off, and they fell just like that. Now, fortunately, this has happened to me one time before, so I want to make sure that you know that the thing about what irritated me, I bought this at Buckmasters Expo in August. So this lasted, September, October, November. This lasted 3 months, and it broke. So I was really disappointed in that because this is supposed to, made by a reputable company. But I've happened to me before where I was fishing beside the boat, fairly rough water, had a big king mackerel on, and it had splashed water by the tail. It splashed water on here, and I had my glasses on. I pulled them down real quick, and when I pulled them down, it broke. And fortunately, the glasses fell in the boat. But if I'd have been leaning over a little bit further, they would have fallen into water. So these things aren't guarantees. My tip of the day: pull on yours and make sure it's going to be hold pretty tight. Don't just rip it off, but make sure these things hold. I was sort of surprised when that happened, and I was disappointed when it happened too. So if I have time, I'm gonna call that company. Okay, now let's get ready. Let's have tip of the day. I got some old pass. I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna wait and talk about this on Monday's show. I found some old pictures of Old Pass, and it's fascinating how huge that area was. And I won't put it on today, but I have some really, really neat stuff to show you. But let's do that for Monday's show, okay? Now let's get ready for our drawing from Tarpon Dock Seafood. We're talking about this every Friday, and they're gracious enough as sponsors. These are good folks down there, and I love that fresh seafood. And if you're like me, we're getting ready to get some oysters for Christmas holidays, and go ahead and call and make sure they're going to have some ahead of time if you get a big bag of oysters. It's traditional here in the Florida Panhandle in South Alabama to get some oysters. All right, now we're going to draw. The first one's going to be a $20 gift certificate. And remember now, I'm going to try to give some stuff away for Christmas, and also at the end of the year, we're going to empty this out, and we're going to start all over again in January. So get ready and to enter again in January. Okay, I'll knock these out. Okay, here we go. Enough talk. Let's get this this winner right here. Is Debbie Harris at $20. Okay, she won in February, and she won again. Debbie Harris, Panama City Beach, $20. Okay, her second win. Isn't it amazing how some people win twice and some people never win? Okay. I'm in that second category. And Big Red Snapper is going to go to Phyllis Brookins. Phyllis Brookins, Big Red Snapper. Two ladies won our drawing today. Debbie Harris, Panama City Beach, and Phyllis Brookins from Lynn Haven. All right, good job. All right, we're gonna move over to our screen over here to get set up for our famous Friday fishing report. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back into the famous Friday fishing forecast. And what we do is take reports from all over. When people ask me for, where do you get your reports? I get them from captains, the guys that fish in the water. I get them from actually some of my students. Believe it or not, those guys get out a lot. And then I get them from my friends, and then I get them from some on Facebook. I have just a wide variety of people that they're reporting to us and giving us a good report. So it's not stuff we sit here and make up. This is coming straight from the field every week, and we're just not going to get this anywhere else. We'll get some posted ones for every month or two. But let's start with Choctawhatchee Bay, and you saw the picture earlier. One of our viewers, nice sheephead. The sheephead are really hot over there in Choctawhatchee Bay, around the bridge pilings and all. And some really good catches of speckled trout continue over in Choctawhatchee Bay. So it's been a good week over there. We'll come down the Intercoastal Waterway like we always do. We always sort of stop off at the West Bay Bridge, because that's a good place to catch sheephead too. But a lot of times you're going to catch drum. And let me say this about drum. I was talking about this last night. I've seen some really pictures of some really big drum and all. Folks, those drums they're flat out, they're not good to eat. They just don't taste good. More of a trash fish, and they're fun to catch. They're strong, they'll pull and give you a thrill. But just let those things go after you catch them, take the picture, and let them go. They're not fitting to eat, as my dad would say. They ain't fitting to eat, and they just let them go, and they'll spawn off, have more drum for more people to catch later. And if it's a good eating fish, I'm certainly going to keep it too. But something like that, I'm just going to let it go. Like catching a freshwater gar or something. Another thing too, we're talking about catch and release. Remember, I'm going to give you a tip on this the other day. I was thinking about it. If you see a big fish, if you want to release it, wet your hands really good. Instead of having dry hands hold on to it, wet your hands really good before you grab the fish, because that just helps keep the mucus on the protective layer on the fish. All right, let's go on into Burnt Mill Creek. Got some good reports for Burnt Mill Creek Okay, Burnt Mill Creek is starting. What'll happen on this right here in the center of the screen at Burnt Mill Creek, and also at Crooked Creek. These trout, especially on that cold snap during the Thanksgiving break, there were some nice trout caught along the creek up in here and right north of the bridge there, and then they're gonna move back out. And the trout, and I've seen a lot of different people reporting, they're in that transitional stage. They're not really going up there and camping out in the canals and all. They're just gonna run up in there to get warmed up a little bit and come back out. So they're in a transition stage. All right, let's move on to other things at Panama City. I've got some reports. Surprisingly, this past week, this Wednesday afternoon, this guy caught a tarpon right after lunch. Caught a tarpon over here at Deer Point Dam. I was surprised, but then again I wasn't surprised, because they'll get up there. That water's coming out a little bit warmer and all, and they're all year round there'll be some tarpon that stay up in that area around Deer Point Dam. So you're not going to make a living catching all of them out of there, but they did caught some out of there. There are also good catches of pompano and redfish. Remember the early part of the week on the east end I showed all the whiting, east end of Bay County. Then on the west end I showed a couple of pictures. The pompano was I wouldn't say a rare catch. Pompano will stay here all winter long, but it gets cold, they'll go offshore and come right back in. So the catching pompano, again, you're not gonna make a living off of it, but you saw in the early part of the week, last Sunday afternoon, there were some nice pompano caught and some redfish. Surf fishing has been excellent this week in the Panama City, Mexico Beach area. Okay, Mitch Coleman, speaking of Mexico Beach, moving over to Mexico Beach, Mitch Coleman mentioned on his report, 4 days adventures. He said right here, the water temperature dropped to 62 near shore, and the bait is pretty active over there. Bull reds are holding near the permanent markers and eating chunks of baits. And he's catching on chunks of ladyfish. And some flounder are caught on these little grunt strips, little strips of bait right there around the car body reefs. Everybody knows where the car body reefs are over there. And catching a lot of whiting on fresh shrimp on the jetties and the beaches side of Tyndall. So we talked about that before. If you know, right, I'm going to show you right where we're talking about. I want people to know on Panhandle Outdoors, we're going to show you exactly where to go fishing. And I'm going to have to, okay, let's find Mexico Beach first. Okay, Mexico Beach, here we go. Mexico Beach, okay, you're going to see the jetties right here in the middle of the screen. That's the jetties we're talking about at Mexico Beach. And that's where Mitch was talking about, and the picture we got this week, that's right there. And you can fish, and you got a pier right here, excellent place to fish, and right in here, then right here on the Tyndall Beach right here. So that's holding whiting. If you want to get out this weekend and catch some whiting, that's where you want to go. Real quick down to St. Joe Bay, Blair Morgan was talking about Wednesday morning to Thursday morning. The consensus of opinion among all the captains, those fish have already started moving up in the canal. So a lot of those fish are up in the canal and the intercoastal waterway. And also they had good bites of flounder. Caught some flounder down there too. The flounder is still around, believe it or not. And you saw the picture just a few minutes ago, some flounder being caught here by Captain James Pick. And Millard Collins, we'll see Millard tomorrow. I'm gonna get a first-hand report. I may get an interview with Millard tomorrow on what's going on down there. So that stretches it out. You go online and read the forecast there, and it's all you gotta do, Panhandle Outdoors, and go there. Okay, got to get out of here. You have a great weekend. Do something outdoors. Thank you for watching Panhandle Outdoors. Thank God for these beautiful sunsets and hungry fish, and be good this weekend. God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.